the RCMP considered laying a fraud charge against the Liberal Prime Minister, a fraud charge related to the free travel that his family and him accepted to a private island. My question is simple. Can the Prime Minister accept that there are two systems of justice in this country, one that applies to everyone and one that does not apply to the Prime Minister?
Merci beaucoup.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. The Conservative Party is unfortunately mistaken. This affair was taken care of years ago in December 2017, and when the Commissioner for Ethics published his report, the Conservative Party said that the Prime Minister answered appropriately. Thank you.
On va pas commencer comme ça. We're not going to...
The Honourable Member for Mégantic-L'Érable. Mr. Speaker, in this affair, there's a lack of judgment from the Prime Minister that was shown in the ethics report, and this was on several occasions. The RCMP thought of laying a fraud charge, but it didn't do so because they didn't think current law would allow it. The only person who can prevent the Prime Minister from accepting a gift is himself, but he can't be above the law. How many times did meetings take place between the Prime Minister and the RCMP, and when was the last meeting? The Honourable Government House Leader. Mr. Speaker, the member across the way knows full well that this situation ended 5 years ago. And there was a report from the Ethics Commissioner, and the Prime Minister clearly replied to this situation, responded. We have a situation that is very serious now, here in Canada and across the world. There are many questions and issues that are so important today, and I think it's a good idea to focus on them and ask questions.
The Honourable Member for Selkirk Interlake Eastman.
Mr. Speaker, we're talking about the RCMP here, not the Ethics Commissioner. Newly released documents from the RCMP reveal there may be reasonable grounds to believe that the Prime Minister committed the offence of fraud on the government contrary to Section 121(1)(c) of the Criminal Code. Now, this was after the Prime Minister was found guilty of accepting luxurious Bahamian vacations worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. The Mounties didn't proceed with charging the Prime Minister because the Prime Minister may have granted himself a get-out-of-jail-free card. So did the Prime Minister give himself the power to break the law?
The Honourable Government House Leader.
Speaker, there was 5 years ago a report that was done by the Ethics Commissioner. That report made all of the matters clear. The Prime Minister responded appropriately. But again, Mr. Speaker, I will say I understand that the party opposite wants to drag in partisan politics and play games. But I would say there are a lot of pressing issues facing this country. We just had a budget table that takes critical action on housing and Indigenous reconciliation and the environment. And I would think those are important questions to be asking about, Mr. Speaker.
Yeah.
I know we've been away for a couple weeks and we want to talk to each other, but let's try to keep down and respect the questions and the answers here at the same time. Here's where I'm going to put people on notice at this point. Just let's keep it down so we can get the questions and great questions, great answers. The Honourable Member for Selkirk Interlake Eastman.
Mr. Speaker, I'd love to hear from the Prime Minister on this. His silence is deafening. Now, the Prime Minister was found guilty on 4 sections of the Conflict of Interest Act. Wow. The only reason the RCMP didn't charge him was because he is the Prime Minister. So there's one law for the Prime Minister and another law for all the rest of us. The RCMP said the Prime Minister was off the hook because he could have granted himself permission to accept a luxurious vacation gift worth $215,000. So on what exact date did the Prime Minister act with impunity and grant himself the power to break the law?
On what date?
Okay, are we ready for the answer? The Honourable Government House Leader.
Mr. Speaker, at a time when we're seeing in Canada incredible economic progress, in fact, 110% beyond where we were at pre-pandemic levels, when we see our GDP exceeding where we were pre-pandemic levels, and when we see the challenges that are faced by Canadians here in Canada and around the world, I would expect, leading question period, we would...
Order! We're on question number 4. 5, sorry. Do we want to continue? I'd really like to get on with the next few questions. I'm sure le Bloc québécois veut poser